still looking for this submersible, but time is running out. Dr. Brendan Englot, an expert on undersea robotics at the Stevens Institute of Technology in New Jersey, joins us now. I don't know. I mean, this thing, what is the size of this piece of equipment that they're in?
It's relatively small in terms of trying to search for a missing object underwater. I mean, we're talking about something the size of a van, basically.
A van?
Yeah, very small when you're talking about the large region in which the search is happening right now.
But I thought they had made it pretty close to the site of the Titanic, so wouldn't they be in that area?
Well, they were about halfway down, diving toward the wreck when they lost communications. So over the remaining distance that it could have dropped or perhaps surfaced, there's so little we know about what actually happened after they lost comms. There's a lot of uncertainty.
And let's talk about communication, because we've since learned people from past trips have said, oh, yeah, we lost communication too for a while. I know it's difficult, but just how difficult is it to communicate with a submersible?
It's very challenging because none of the forms of communication we're used to work underwater. No radio, no Wi-Fi, we can't get GPS. So we have to rely on acoustics, and we ping with sound in order to communicate. And so the speed of sound is pretty fast underwater, but we can still only send so much information. And even then, it bounces off a lot of different things underwater, and it can be very, very challenging to get a return sometimes.
And speaking of that bouncing off, is that because I know so many people had hope when we heard that there was banging noises that were reported being heard? And is that also why it's probably difficult to still pinpoint where they are, even though you are hearing noises?
Yeah, there are a lot of different things that could be producing sound underwater, and the source can be uncertain. I mean, they have been dropping these hydrophone arrays in the water to try to, triangulate the source. So they have a pretty good idea, where they're searching right now is the origin of that source of that sound. But we're not sure if that sound was coming from the missing vessel.
But then there's a part of they said even if they were able to locate it, it's getting it back up to the surface. How would you do that? Can that even be done?
Yeah, if it was at the depth of the wreck of the Titanic, that would be it would be an unprecedented rescue.
Right.
I mean, we've never managed to successfully rescue from that depth, and we just have very little equipment at our disposal that we could use to do it.
Is it because of the water pressure or the darkness or the lack of communication? Is it all those factors?
All of those things. Yeah, all of those factors make it challenging, but I would say the water pressure is the number one thing. Yeah. Just developing equipment that's rated for those extreme pressures.
Well, so what kind of a little engine would this submersible have?
Well, moving around when you're underwater doesn't take a lot of energy.
No.
They make adjustments to their buoyancy so that they only have to use a little bit of energy to change their depth. It's more just building something that's strong enough to resist those pressures, a really strong pressure vessel.
Do you think then that this will change how we do when it comes to, I mean, I know they weren't regulated or they didn't have any of that, but do you think that this might change because of what we've been witnessing over the past couple of days?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to draw a lot of attention to safety in this space, making sure that activities like this are regulated, that there's a lot of testing, and also making sure that a rescue is possible. This was taking place 400 miles offshore. So it's taken several days for some of the rescue assets to get there.
Why in the heck do we keep wanting to go down and look at the Titanic?
It's been something of historical fascination for many, many decades because of how long it took to find the wreck. And so I think it has, it's captured everyone's imagination, but it's also driven science. Very meaningful science and technology has been done trying to discover the wreck, trying to understand it. So I think that's one of the reasons.
And also, too, about what life is like down there in that deep depths of the ocean, right? Sounds like there's a lot we don't know about what's down there.
Yeah, in some ways we know more about what's in outer space than what's at the bottom of the ocean.
Wow, that puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
What does your gut tell you that this thing imploded?
That's possible. If there was any kind of impact on the way down, that may have occurred. Hopefully, the fail-safe systems are supposed to bring it to the surface. So I think there's still a remote chance it could be at the surface and hasn't been located yet. But the more we search, the less likely that becomes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
It was always the deadline. It was always this morning.
Yeah, in fact, right now.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Brendan Englot.